Friends, on this episode of The Way of Wonder, come with us on a journey to see and discover again the extraordinary hidden within ordinary. Things like two hands touching each other. How does that lead us into an encounter with the divine? What does that say about God's love? Come with us as we explore this beautiful piece by Auguste Rodin.
Here we are again for another episode of The Way of Wonder. I'm Bill Donahue, a senior lecturer here at the Theology of the Body Institute. We hope you've been enjoying these episodes. Quick shout out, there's an entire course dedicated to the spirituality of wonder called The Way of Beauty that I get to teach. It's an elective here at the Institute, a 5-day immersion in the transcendental of beauty. We touch on art, poetry, sculpture, cinema, everything. And check the schedule. I believe it's coming up January of 2024. Don't quote me on that yet. Okay, commercial's over. Let's introduce Father Pat Schultz from Cleveland, Ohio.
Hey, Bill.
Good to have you with us. And
Thanks, man.
I'm excited to just sit back and see what you got, if it's a poem or if it's a picture or a painting or I can't think of another P word.
None of those things, actually.
What? All right, here we go.
But you mentioned it. You mentioned it when you were saying it, The Way of Beauty. We look at this and this and this and this. You mentioned sculpture. Yeah, we haven't had a lot of sculptures.
We haven't.
The very first episode was the one that you did, the
Victor Isa, the Heart of God.
Victor Isa, Heart of God. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if we've had. Oh, we did. I had the other one. The that guy throwing the discus. Remember that one?
Oh yeah, the Greek sculptures. Yeah, we talked about the masculine.
Sculpture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I've got another sculpture for us today. Before we put it up, I know this guy's one of your favorites, Auguste Rodin.
Oh, yeah, Rodin. Yep.
Yeah, 19th century sculpture. So this piece, I learned this little discovery while doing a little research on this piece. So the name that it's known as today is the Cathedral. So Thomas, let's bring up the Cathedral.
Oh, yeah. I know it already.
Okay,
yes.
But you might not know this. I found this out doing my research about this. Do you know what the original name for this piece was that he named it? It was called the Ark of the Covenant.
Whoa. That's actually even cooler.
It's so cool. I mean, both names are very revelatory, very powerful.
The Ark of the
we've got a few different, it's not very complex, but we got some a few different angles and images on this piece. Maybe we can cycle through.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, just gentle, beautiful. Marble piece here that Rodin did.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Good, right? I'm loving the lighting on this. Yeah. That's the thing about sculpture. As you move through it and around it, you can get so many effects.
Yeah. So it's a marble piece, and it's if you can see as we go up close, it's quite, I don't know, unpolished. It's not like a Michelangelo Pietà. It's not like Bernini's David. It's you can still see the chisel mark, so to speak. I mean, I think that's I don't know, quintessential Rodin, that there's that's his style, right? So but yeah, so apparently after a series of works were published in a French publication, the title of which was The Cathedrals, this became known as the Cathedral, but the title he gave it originally was the Ark of the Covenant. So what we see here, if it's hard to tell, is two right hands meeting at fingertips, which of course this is not the same person. These are two individuals, right? These are two hands of two different people, because you don't have two right hands.
Just to clarify. And it's a man and a woman's hand, I'd always learned.
You got it. Yep.
Yeah. Ark of the Covenant between man and woman. Man, I'm not going to call it the Cathedral anymore. Sorry, Rodin, or whoever made him do that. The Ark of the Covenant is perfect.
Powerful. Yeah. Well, yeah. Why do you think that's perfect?
Well, it's a literal ark, and it's a covenant. And I'll stop there.
Like that.
Yeah, right. I actually have this piece in a black. It's in black rock, and it's It's not here at Black Rock, but it's in black marble, I guess you could say. And I absolutely, yeah, sorry. I absolutely love it. And I love to spin it. So like it's back at the home office, but each day I'll kind of turn it because the lighting and the angle from which I'm viewing it is always a little bit different.
Yeah.
It's such a gift to have it. Ark of the Covenant. See, here's the thing. I love that name because covenant is such an intimate bond between persons, and that's what's physically going on here. Yeah, it's literally that. And this is imaging that for us by the very tender touching of fingertips at the very top. So there's this kind of longing and intimacy, but there's not a fist clutched or a grabbing. It's just each is sort of free. Each hand feels sort of free, and it's ascending, but also at the same time conscious of the other and very gently touching. So there's tenderness, and I think a covenant is really about tenderness. Tenderness. A contract is like a handshake. A contract is like grab the hand, make a deal. But this is tender.
It's also like romantic. Like I feel I can hear the soundtrack. Like I can. Like it's like this is so evocative of such a beautiful moment. Like I can see the scene, I can hear the music, I can like it's so tender, it's romantic, it's and I love how you point out the fact that, so let's connect it to the other name, the cathedral, that it's very evocative of the arches of the Gothic cathedral, right? So and what is the cathedral? I mean, a cathedral is meant to be the dwelling place of God on earth, the place where the marriage of heaven and earth takes place, right? And what are these hands? It's the first, it's evocative of the primordial covenant of matrimony in the Garden of Eden, right? So this little microcosm of the covenant right here, when it is put on a macro stage, it looks like God's marriage to humanity. But I mean, so much is contained right in here. Like so much drama, his heart, her heart, the longing for connection and communion, and then the life that comes into being in between them. That's housed within, right? Because is that not what marriage gives birth to? We talked last week about the garden and the fruit that comes forth from the garden. I mean, we had those beautiful pictures of your kids, and like, it's the fruit of union, wow. Is that not what this is?
There's a French a woman. She's a curator, I think, of one of the Rodin museums in France, and she talks about this piece as, in the center, she says, it looks like there is nothing, but there's everything.
Oh yeah,
right. It looks like there's nothing, but there's everything. So it's inside those two hands is this realm of possibility. Remember when back in the 50s, there'd be those, Catholic school dances, and they would say, leave room for the Holy Spirit. It used to be like a pejorative thing, when they're dancing. Yeah. But here it's literally like, leave room for the Holy Spirit, because the Lord will fill in this space and make it rich and vibrant. And that's in the cathedral. That's where we come in there. That's so wild. That we come in and we fill that space. God fills that space.
And how weird would this piece look if you took one of the hands away?
Yeah.
It just
incomplete.
Yeah.
Incomplete. Yeah. Incomplete. Not to mention, if it was in a museum, every teenage boy walking through would high five it. Right.
That's true.
Well, there it's an invitation to communion.
I suppose it is.
But I'm just riffing off again this image, and this is what we want to do on this podcast. Is to build this whole spirituality of attentiveness, slowing down, and listening. So this is what's striking me now, Father Pat, as you're showing this. It's utterly simple, as you said. It's two hands touching. That's it. And yet we can. You just went through levels of man and woman, cathedral, which is humanity coming to worship God. Then we've got the bridegroom and the bride couched with Christ in the church. So you can't take away the parables, the metaphors, the symbols, the images that even just a piece of the human person, just the hands, is still packed with meaning. Right? Even just these hands is supercharged with some sort of transcendent meaning. We're living in a culture that we've talked about this too here on the show, how reductionistic we are, how we just we peel away all extravagance, and we just are so utilitarian and just reduced, but we're not, and we can't. Like you can't avoid, if you pause for a moment and you gaze and you let the things speak, let the data speak, let the image speak, you're taken away. Right? You're taken up.
Taken up. That's what I was going to
I
say.
think.
Like,
yeah.
I mean, even the way that Rodin has it designed, there's this upward sweeping kind of twisting dancing.
Like a spiral.
They look like they're dancing, in some ways, which is so significant, right? Because just to get a little theologically nerdy on us again for a second, one of the church fathers' favorite words for the Trinity, of course, was the word perichoresis. That what are the persons of the Trinity doing? It's this perichoresis, which essentially translates to this endless dance. They're turning about each other, this endless dance of life and love. And right, when God makes an image of himself in creation, he makes the couple. He doesn't just make the man, he doesn't just make the woman, he makes the couple whose bodies and souls are ordered towards each other in such a reciprocal magnetism. They fit together, they come together in this earthly dance, this earthly trinity. And what does it do? It takes them up. And I'm thinking about right now, I just did, yesterday I had a funeral for a woman named Georgia, who was married to her husband David for 58 years.
Wow.
The beautiful man. They had a beautiful marriage, and he took care of her for a long time at the end. A lot of health issues. And she was cremated, and we finished the funeral and went to the cemetery, and we're getting ready for the interment. And because they had, one of those vaults, those one of those walls. She was
mausoleum.
just going to be placed right in the niche, And he asked if he could place her in the wall, and it was just beautiful, right? We finished. He picked up the urn and he walked over, and like right before he put her remains into the wall, he kissed the urn, and then he put it in the wall, and I mean, it was just like one of the things I said to him was that I said, when you got married all those years ago, I said, marriage is so much more about death than life, really, and funerals are a lot more about life than they are about death. That, like, when you promised at your wedding, for better, for worse, for richer, for poor, in sickness and in health, to love and to cherish until death do us part. I said, Dave, what you were promising was to be the one who would, more than anybody, help Georgia be ready to die. Help her to, like, the way that you were her dance partner was going to help her to enter into the dance of the Trinity.
Wow.
And it was just such a beautiful moment seeing him, like, kiss the urn and place her in the wall. And then it was a funny moment. He looked at the cemetery, worker guy, and he's like, "Is there going to be room for me in there?" He's like, "Yeah, we'll make room."
Oh my goodness.
It was just funny, but you could just see, like,
wow, what a beautiful story.
Well. Like, you can see their cathedral, their
totally
the ark of their covenant. It was just beautiful.
A few more wrinkles on those hands, but probably more potent than we could even imagine just to see their hands. That is awesome. That is a beautiful story. Georgia and David.
Yeah.
Wow. And I love your insight about the I was, as soon as you said it, I was thinking, there is that sort of swirl that's in the composition itself. And that's what marriage is supposed to always do. And any human relationship is always supposed to take us up. Yeah. Every encounter is always supposed to take us up. Gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Well, that's Rodin. Go ahead.
I would say that's been a theme, I think, in this way of beauty, this way of wonder that we're inviting people to walk with us, that, like, you can look at anything and you look at long enough and it eventually takes you up. I mean, that's the sacramentality of it, from the beauty of those lilies or the pictures of your kids or, a blade of grass the beauty of a married couple holding hands. Um, it all is meant to take us up.
What a gift. I mean, that I would underscore that too, Father Pat. That seems to be the main lesson that the Lord is inviting us to unpack for our, he's doing it for ourselves and we, for anybody who's tuning in, that give yourself that pause, waste time with something beautiful, waste time with everything, actually. Just, it's the whole thing of knock and the door shall be opened, seek and you will find. Just be still before whatever mystery is going on in your life. It doesn't have to be art. We're using art as a trampoline to sort of bounce off of and closer to God. But you could literally do it with your morning cup of coffee, with the conversation you're having with somebody, with some tragic news you just heard. You just pause and say, Lord, like, speak. What are you saying? Where is this taking me? What does this mean?
I think, and to, I think we have to have the patience, right? Like, it takes a long time rumbling down the runway before the plane takes off.
Yeah.
You have to spend enough time with these things, and eventually it takes off. It goes up. The horizontal becomes vertical.
Yeah. And it always does. And we don't have to be afraid that of missing it or not finding it. It is literally in everything. Even the ordinary. There's a great quote I love. I may have even quoted it on a previous episode, but Ralph Waldo Emerson, to see the miraculous within the ordinary is the highest mark of wisdom. To see the miraculous within the ordinary is the mark of highest wisdom. It's there. There's not a single thing that can't somehow speak of the divine, and that's the omniscience and omnipotence of God, that from a dandelion to like the ceiling frescoes of the Jesu that you shared a few episodes ago.
That's right.
Every single thing. Man, that just gets me pumped. That gets me excited to look at everything this way.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for that. Can't go wrong with Rodin. Can't go wrong with that guy. I'm sure he'll be back. He'll be back. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in again. And we love your comments. Please like, subscribe, share it. Tell us what's going on inside your heart when you look at a work of art like the Ark of the Covenant / Cathedral by Rodin. And again, we'll see you next week for another episode as we wander through this way of wonder.